So, welcome to BW Healthcare World, to a show called Thursday Thought Leaders with Harbinder Narula. It is with pleasure I welcome Dr. Sudhir P. Srivastava, who is the founder of SS Innovations Private Limited, which is a leading medical robotic innovation in India. And Dr. Srivastava is the first to introduce an Indian medical robotic surgery equipment, which is completely made in India. Taking this up as a challenge and leading with the vision to offer minimally invasive robotic surgery solutions, Dr. Srivastava and his team launched SSI Mantra. Mantra stands for Multi-Arm Novel Tele-Robotic Assistance, which is the surgical robotic system purely developed and made in India. Welcome, Dr. Srivastava, to Thursday Thought Leaders for BW Healthcare World.
Thank you very much.
Dr. Srivastava, before I get into this conversation related to robotics, you were having a successful practice in the US. What made you come back to India in those times when everybody was wanting to work in the US?
Well, it's a frequently asked question, and I have got very simple answer with 2 words. And I don't know which one comes first, but destiny and love of motherland.
Got it.
Trying to help people, starting out in India. And the problem of affordability is universal. So the goal was really, when I came was to launch robotic programs. And that's where I felt a tremendous need for an affordable system, because having seen the huge benefits of robotic surgery, especially in cardiac, where people end up with splitting of the sternum, long recovery, complications, etc., to be able to offer literally through tiny holes. And the benefits I saw, I wanted to bring this to India, and literally made a move in 2011 with bags and baggages and family, and got into it, but realized very quickly that, and I purchased the robot myself, but because of the cost, we could not offer this to many patients. And because of the cost, we could not train surgeons. Those days were early 7 or 8 only robotic system that time. And so it really pained me that because of the cost, we are not able to. So really made it literally a commitment. And having seen what the benefits were, that there is no reason that patients across the globe should not have the best possible medical care. As I philosophically believe that, health care is a right and not privilege for, rich people or rich economies. And the only reason patient comes to us is to get better so they can go back to their previous lifestyle as soon as possible. And through maximally invasive surgeries, we kind of not worry about the patients, their recovery is their problem. And so really the idea was to address that and change the direction of surgery for generations to come. And that passion really was the motivating factor in my decision to come and to really develop this thing. And we could do this in an environment where one does not have to raise lots of money, because of we can do things somewhat more economically in the country, not compromising the quality, but just more economically, because all these entrepreneurial journeys are pretty tough. And to get the investment in medical devices is not easy. And so we wanted to really find a platform, and also being very proud of the achievements of the country that it has done in so many other sectors. And unfortunately, the medical devices remain on the back burner, whereby we continue to import almost 80-90% from outside. And we must become independent. And so that really the drive, not only to make India proud that these things can be done in the country, but also benefit patients across the globe. And that really was kind of the passion, the driving force. But very simply put, yes, destiny and love of motherland.
Great. Dr. Srivastava, what do you think about the concept of local? And do you think that it genuinely exists in our country? how do you think it has helped in creating opportunities for the healthcare industry? Because post-pandemic, the whole landscape for healthcare has gone through a sea change, and the market is like growing exponentially.
Yeah, I think if we take, India, localizing to India with 1.4 billion people today and 70,000 hospitals and tremendous interest among the surgeons as well as patients to find different ways of getting treated today. So, being a large country with large population and unfortunate part of increasing disease spectrum and diseases, so it's, in one way it is not so good, but on the other side, it gives an opportunity to do things in the country where otherwise it will be challenging. And so India also is, as we know, known to offer the highest level of medical care at one of the lowest costs in the world. So any new platform that one can introduce, you suddenly reach out to so many people at one time. And what that translates in terms of the advancement of the science, not only one is getting experience in terms of treating things differently, but also thinking outside of the box because the volumes are huge. The information that is collected, it's huge in terms of the further research and development and publications, training, all of those things kind of become very, very easy. It's just like any product that is introduced in the consumer market. It is generally a huge success if it is good. So same way, if we can really, introduce certain things in India, one can get things done much, much faster and also get the information because of the sheer numbers that are in India today. So this will be very helpful, not just for the country as we evolve, and hopefully also the development of medical devices like what SSI has done. And really kudos goes to our young engineers. And I must say that, I had a little part in terms of the contributing to the clinical knowledge and assuming the leadership. But ultimately, it's a wonderful thing for our young engineers to basically develop some very complex and sophisticated technology that nobody ever thought India could do it. And we have done it. So I think, it is a wonderful thing for the country. Hopefully it will inspire many others. Hopefully it will help the government look at differently, whereby we do more investment in the medical devices, because at some point, the only way to become truly Atmanirbhar is to do things here in every possible way. And it's not that you have nationalistic attitude, but if you don't fix your house, how can you help others?
Very true. Dr. Srivastava, it is very commendable for you to think about the opportunity that exists. I mean, while robotic surgeries have started happening, there's still a very small percentage of the overall surgeries that happen in our country. You took that leap of faith when globally the robotic surgical equipment already existed for you to start manufacturing in India. What is your belief in the opportunity that exists? How big do you think the market is? And while you answer that, the reason I'm asking is that what do you think would be the journey of India in becoming the robotic hub of the world? Do you think that's going to happen?
Absolutely. The answer to your last question is absolutely. Okay, so now when we talk of the opportunity in India or the size of the market, etc., I operated in India when I did the first ever case back in 2002 at Escorts. Dr. Naresh Trehan is a dear friend, and when they were expanding and for purchase a robot, he invited me to operate. President Abdul Kalamji was there. In fact, he watched the surgery in the room for almost 10 minutes. Being a scientist, he was quite intrigued. Since then, if you kind of go forward, in 20 years, we have less than 200 robotic systems only. For a country of our size, 70,000 hospitals. And so essentially, it became that hospital that could afford, they have the system. Surgeons don't have access, and patients don't have access. If you take the global volume of roughly 1.5 or 1.6 million robotic cases that got done last year, we did only roughly around 10, 11,000 total surgeries with robotics, and not even taking into consideration the global volume of surgeries. So even global volume of surgeries is almost like less than 1% of robotics. And the main factor has been cost and learning curve. So when you look at the India's opportunity with an advanced and affordable and accessible system, with focus on multi-specialty, including cardiac, the opportunity is huge just within the country. And we have launched only just about over a year ago, and we have seen tremendous enthusiasm and interest among various institutions. And as was pointed out past week, we completed 500 cases in relatively short time, allowing for the learning curve and the ramp ups. So when we look at India becoming a hub, I think if with an affordable system, which is very, highly technologically better, there is no reason, because it is like a comparison in terms of the price, like an MRI price. All hospitals have MRIs. Clinics have MRIs today in the outpatient centers. So when you look at the cost factor, it will take us some time, but gradually it will infiltrate into, literally every hospital. We even have 2 small hospitals in the 3rd-tier cities that have purchased, and they're doing numerous cases literally every week because now it is accessible. So I think what it will do, first of all, in India itself, there is a huge opportunity. Secondly, if you look at the global scene, you take United States, which almost has 65-70% of the system. There are about roughly close to 8,000 robotic systems today. And of course, it was led by the leader in the industry that enjoyed monopoly for almost 25 years. So essentially that one system basically has been around. So when you look at that, almost 70% are in the United States, 16% in Europe, and around 7% in Japan. So if you combine all of this thing, 90% literally is within these 3 geographical areas. And that means over 7 billion people do not have easy access, around the world, literally. There are many countries, they don't even have a single robotic system. And, other companies don't even want to go there. So our goal is to really serve the underserved, and with an affordable system, because, they are not able to purchase. As Dr. Vishwa, my son, he uses this phrase, we will address the forgotten world by others. Yes. So market opportunities is huge. I think India truly, with its population, with the number of hospitals, with the enthusiasm and an affordable system. And further, we in fact have reached out to the ministry that to possibly make robotic surgery as part of postgraduate curriculum. And so we will produce trained robotic surgeons during training, because currently most surgeons that are doing robotic surgery, they learn in middle of their practices. And sometimes it's not always easy for people to spend time. One is the paucity of availability of the system. Secondly, if they don't have, then they keep doing the same thing. Right. Although interest is there, but unfortunately, they are pretty frustrated. The hospital administration says, sorry, it's too expensive. Or patients, the running costs are so much that patients cannot afford surgical procedures with the robotic assistance, because as we know in India, insurance schemes are there, but they are rather limited. And so one of our goal also is to reach out to the Prime Minister's office at some point and make this as part of the coverage through Ayushman scheme. It will be so huge. No other country has insured so many people through the government support. And so just imagine suddenly with our population, and if 3/4 of the population has ability to undergo such procedure because they are cheap and they are absolutely within the limits of these insurance reimbursement. Just imagine what was holding it back. The numbers will go up. And so I think India truly can not only become a hub for medical tourism with affordable robotic system, the talent that exists in the country at the doctor level, and also potentially become an export center for the rest of the world of an affordable robotic system, as the need is so huge.
You actually brought out very beautifully 2 points that I've been actually talking of in the past. One is the education system needs to cater to the technology of today.
Yes.
Most of the doctors get trained on the traditional education system, whereas when they actually come and start working, the technology advancement is taking them far ahead, but they feel that they are not adequately trained for that.
Yes.
Second is the affordability part of it, because it's a very relative term. Uh, the
Yes.
question is, can the traditional surgery and the cost of robotic surgery be same? Then it is an apple to apple comparison.
Yes.
So I think that needs to, yeah. And Dr. Srivastava, you spoke about serving the underserved places. One of the challenges that I've seen with the equipment manufacturers in India is the perception of the equipment manufactured in India.
Yes.
How
Yes.
do you overcome this particular challenge? How do you think this needs to be managed when you compare the equipment which comes from Europe or the western part of the world?
I can give you a quote of Dr. Somashekar, who is the chairman of the robotics with the Esther group. He was heading the Manipal robotic group before. And so he had come over and spent a day with us. So I'll just quote him. He says, Sudhir, you did not compromise the quality. You have added more advanced and better and user-friendly features in the system with similar performance to the world leader at 1/3 the cost. So we have absolutely not compromised the quality. We have now over 500 cases that have been performed with absolutely zero device-related complication. And we have done cardiac that no other system today is doing to the full spectrum of cardiac surgery. So cardiac surgery is the ultimate in terms of complexities. And I personally operated, by the way, using our system. And so there is no compromise in quality. If anything, comparing technologies, we have better features, more advanced features, more specialties. So sometimes when I get asked by others, and if you want, we can get into some differentiators in a minute. But when I get asked by people, well, this company has this, do you have this? And I tell them, I said, what took them 25 years, we have done it in 1 year. Why don't you turn around and ask them, SSI mantra has this, how come you don't have after 25 years? So absolutely, having come from the clinical background and being a heart surgeon, where one develops a perfectionist attitude, and ultimately, patients are putting themselves in the hands of the surgeons and the technology. So it's a very serious moral and ethical responsibility. And I tell my team of engineers, you must produce something that you yourself or your parents or your brother, sister, you will put them through using the same machine for surgery. And that standard we maintain all along. And this is what I did when I was practicing my surgery in different places. And I used to tell the team, we must be so good that you'll be willing to bring your father for us to operate. So that really kind of puts a very serious responsibility on not only the development, but also incorporating a lot of things. So one of the things is that, the world leader, they started back in the 90s, and basically, came out through the US FDA in 2000. So, and obviously kudos to them that they initiated this thing, whereby a different pathway to do complex operations was initiated. But unfortunately, they got stuck to the core technology. And, So anytime a company, based on the regulation that exists, you make a change, you have to go back to do trials or go back and for another approval. So now, good thing for a company like SSI, which is new at this stage. So we are coming at a very high level of technology in relation to even at the introduction point, because so many things are available, knowledge is available based on prior history. How can we change and how can we make it better? So that fear of introducing the latest and the best is gone. And we have the ability to do that, while other companies cannot, who started out 5, 10, 12 years ago or 20 years ago. So, being new, just like having a newer car, it has more features, a newer phone, it has more features. So when we talk of comparisons, we are not only equal or better, but with better features to offer to the patients. And a lot of things that we have done, automated devices that currently nobody has, whereby the human skill level factor may not be a consideration, although it is important. But if you give somebody tools that everything can be done automatically with a push of button, you produce very wonderful results every single time. And the other thing that we are also, I might add, is there are two things when you again talking of the comparisons. So one, my focus is to what I use the term decentralizing excellence. So using the tele everything with high-speed connectivity today and fiber optic communication channels available, we should be able to offer this thing wherever required without concerns of being affordable in people coming to big centers. So one can do this. We are also developing certain applications that we can do various diagnostic and limited therapeutic things wherever. I can be in Delhi and conduct these things in rural areas, in army, encampments and wherever. And this is a universal problem. People everywhere still have to travel to big centers because other facilities are not available. So goal is to democratize, bring it to people. Because many times we find late diagnosis due to either the cultural reasons or access problems or economics of this thing. So the goal is to really make it available as much as possible. And secondly, also using this new metaverse that is exploding literally. And I can tell you, if you ever have a chance to come to our center, you'll be absolutely amazed what a team of young Indian surgeons have done. It is phenomenal. Virtual mixed reality, AR, and we are calling it Maya. So it exists and it doesn't exist. But it will be so helpful in teaching, training, procedure developments, making things perfect, take the guesswork out. So we are introducing so many of these things that are very advanced that other technologies currently do not have. So we kind of, wanted to really bring it in the best possible way. And having had the clinical experience, and now half of my brain is engineer. And so there's always a thought process going on is, what I tell is best is enemy of better. So if you think we have reached, that's no good. We must always think, how can we make it better?
And tell me one thing, I mean, you mentioned that half your brain is engineer brain now, but tell me one thing, when you're working on such high-end, high-precision equipments, how do you manage the retention of, the manpower? Because this is still an area where anybody who's trained and experienced in this looks at moving to the western part of the world.
Well, I can tell you, this is where I am very proud of India as a country. If you look at our space program, second to none today. Yes, we were delayed, but it is second to none. Our atomic energy, second to none. Our Defense Department, second to none. So when you think about it, the talent is there. I think where the issue was of resource allocation in relation to medical devices. And I absolutely agree, it's a very highly complex technology, whereby, I tell you, when I got involved in this thing, it was such a humbling experience to see what goes inside of the system, engineering wise, there are almost 3,000 parts, hardware, electronics, final integration with software, that everything must work very precisely with an accuracy of 0.1 millimeter that we are able to remotely operate. So it is truly a teleoperation whereby surgeon is away from the patient. And through the computer system and the sophistication of technology, we are able to do precisely better than the precision of human hands.
Correct.
And so I think the talent is there in India. And so it's not that unfortunately, West took the lead because of the historical investments that people have made in the technology world. And of course, the economy of the country, where by the government sets the priorities. So as we know, India used to be at the highest level in the world in our history. Incomparable, doesn't matter what field you look at, but unfortunately over the years, India was destroyed, looted. And so basically we suffered a lot. And then to come out of that hole has taken us time. While other countries had economic power to be able to invest, while we were sorting out very basic fundamental problems for people. And also that is why it has been delayed. But I can promise you, talent is there. And this will be century of the country, India, in terms of where it will go, because a lot has changed.
Mhm.
The new generation is so inspirational to see that they all want to succeed. Forget about how it used to be, 50 years ago or 20 years ago. Now things are moving very rapidly. And we see that all the time. How many startups, how many unicorns have come up in the country? And so many of the technologies, you look at our IITs, you look at our, very high level software companies in the world today, everybody is coming out here to seek our help. So I think there is not a lack of talent. Hopefully our government also, and it is happening now. It has taken time, but it is happening now. The change is happening. And I think, it is wonderful for the country, and India can set as an example that yes, we can also do it. We can do it. You must also be able to do it.
So, Dr. Srivastava, this actually brings me to the next question that, what are some of the issues that indigenous Indian manufacturers are facing? And what do you think the government can do to support this sector to give it the growth that it deserves and needs?
Great question. And I hope you will share this video with all our ministries, including the Prime Minister's office. So, wonderful question. So we today still end up importing some of the sophisticated electronics from outside because no investment, unfortunately, has occurred. And we have seen some of the global impact either of pandemic or the various things that can occur between the countries, or some countries may decide to play games. So basically, we are still importing, in our case, motors, certain drives, sensors, encoders, etc., which actually can be manufactured in India. So unfortunately, the investment has not occurred, and it is very, very crucial to truly promote the vision of Make in India and ultimately a true Atmanirbhar Bharat beyond the slogans. We must invest in these technologies because it can be done. There is no doubt that it cannot be done in the country. If you take Chandrayaan mission, almost all things were indigenous. So the precision manufacturing exists today. And it's a matter of, it is a catch-22 situation. If you do not have many customers, people don't invest in such machines. So if more and more indigenous development occurs and manufacturing occurs, people will have incentive. There is money in India. There is definitely money in India. People have ability to invest, except that, they look at based on the need and the outcomes and the results and return on the investment type of thing. But if you create an environment that, yes, with our population, the need that exists, investment will occur. Not only, and government must take the lead, then private sector will get involved. So I think, and it is happening. If you look at the, semiconductor industry, motors. In fact, our own engineers have developed drives which will save us $50 million over 5 years, because they're very expensive item we end up importing. So we are really, in fact, ourselves in the electronic field that we use, we have developed a lot of these things. And so hopefully, I think my absolute confidence is there in the next 5 years, India will become independent of a lot of imports. And also then it becomes expensive for us. So when you talk of challenges for the manufacturers, not only we have to import from outside, depending on the lead times and global circumstances, but then we have to pay almost 30% duty on top of it. So, and if you don't have to do all that thing, we can pass those savings to the end users. Yeah. So I think it's a great question. And
no, we'll definitely be. Dr.
Take
Srivastava, another thing that comes to my mind is around the legality of these robotic surgeries.
yes.
Now, is the legal implication on a doctor the same as if he were to do a robotic surgery?
I think legal implications, first of all, is the responsibility of the medical device industry to really go through a very serious validation, reliability, safety, feasibility process. And that is done through various steps within the lab, then animal trials, cadaver trials, clinical trials, and constant monitoring of once we launch these programs. So fortunately, there are regulatory bodies that do look at these standards. So in medical device particularly, there's a thing called ISO. It's an international standard, ISO 13485. So we must be ISO 13485 compliant, which actually is certification given by a third party. Secondly, we have our own regulatory body, CDSCO. So in relation to the SSI mantra, we have gone through those processes completely. And as I mentioned, there have been zero device-related complication so far. Okay, because this is, there's nothing better than, it's just like the tires hit the road. So system now has been tested in terms of safety and ability to do procedures. So yes, I think one must follow the highest possible standards, because anything that touches the patient must be perfected, and constant monitoring must be done in relation to post-launch procedures. So anything that one discovers, one must first of all fix very rapidly and report it. So I think those obligations are on the medical device industry to really maintain the standards, whereby not only our patients become comfortable, the governments become comfortable that just because it is India, things are not happening, however. And so all I can tell you as SSI, there is no compromise of standards.
Great. And Dr. Srivastava, how has been the year 2023 for SSI, and what do you think will be happening in 2022 for SSI, specific to your organization?
Sure. So a lot of centers are evaluating our systems. Literally all large chains of the hospitals are interested in our system. The government is very interested in making this as part of the education. And also, we are also making actually efforts. See, India has become also ground for dumping refurbished equipment. And what it does, actually, it makes it hard for, the Indian entrepreneurs to kind of get into that one. And so I think government is making efforts for things that are made in India. There must be certain considerations. And yes, I think things that are not in India, patients must have access. But then in order to promote this thing, so I think from the SSI, this 23 has been a wonderful year whereby we have validated our technology. Many launches have occurred. The number of cases that you have now seen have been done. And ongoing progress is there for the next improvement and the next improvement. We have also initiated approvals in so many jurisdictions around the world. So there are almost 120 countries that do not require US FDA or European CE approvals. They take Indian approvals or local registration and the clinical experience into consideration. And these are most of these countries are underserved in relation to the robotics. So our team of regulatory department in our organization, they are very rapidly approaching. So as we speak, almost 15 to 20 countries, we have processes ongoing. We have initiated the US FDA and CE approval as well. Also, we have placed a system in UAE, in Dubai. We also placed a system at Johns Hopkins, which is one of the most reputable institutions in the world, in their lab. In fact, I'm traveling next week to United States, meeting with the Harvard group. They are very interested again in getting into some of the R&D and training collaborations with us. There are many other universities in the United States that are looking at it because of, monopolies are never good. And so, especially an affordable system with all the other features and multi-specialty use. So people are looking at options also. So I think in 24, we are projecting that not only in India very rapidly things will occur, but in so many other countries around the world. And hopefully we'll get the European approval, and for US FDA, we are going to be initiating multi-center trials. And also we have developed certain very unique technologies that no one in the world has, like automated coronary artery connector, whereby it joins in bypass surgery 2 arteries within 6 seconds with push of a button. So a lot of these new things are being developed that will be tried through controlled clinical trials next year. And hopefully we will be releasing these wonderful technologies to our hospitals. So ongoing efforts, and one of the plans that I have is to develop a pediatric robotic system, because that is one thing that unfortunately the group has been left behind. And poor little children, they still have larger incisions. So even though our system now has been used in numerous pediatric population cases, but it's still, generally speaking, so we already have the ideas. And the other thing we are doing very aggressive fundraising, because these are expensive projects, to scale it up and to be able to create infrastructure, global infrastructure, partner with some of these distributors. So basically take it to the next level. So India will always be a very major launch platform for us because of the need, us being here, the relationships, the awareness, but at the same time, we are looking globally.
Dr. Srivastava, before I let you go, my last question to you is around what do you think will be the future of the healthcare industry in India in 2024, and what will also be the future of robotics in healthcare in India in 2024? Are there any path-breaking things that we expect in the next 1 year?
Absolutely. So first, we are organizing a very major first global conference on January 19th and 20th at Leela Hotel, whereby 2 days of live sessions, live robotic surgery sessions, both in cardiac and multi-specialty, will be done by the national and the international faculty. There will be a global live streaming of these things. So essentially to increase the awareness among physicians and hospitals that such thing exists. And we have already done almost 8 live transmissions of our cases in various conferences, absolutely flawless procedures. So basically, as you mentioned earlier about potential skepticism of an Indian-made thing, there is nothing better than seeing it in action. Okay, so we are doing that. Also, our plans are ongoing for India. I see that more and more centers will start to acquire. They would have seen clinical experience. And also we'll be conducting the trials. So our goal is to, with the help of the government, so get it in teaching institutions. A lot of AIMS in the country are already very interested, and also initiate fellowship programs in the country, because it is very important that we can sponsor, introduce teleproctoring, telesurgery. And this is, in fact, is in our works right now. And in fact, next month, we are initiating teleproctoring, whereby I can sit in Delhi and guide anybody wherever, literally globally, with the high-speed connectivity and the telesurgery. So when you look at this, it's a very holistic approach, in the sense that beyond the training, which is routine training and hands-on, etc., initially providing proctorship, we can guide surgeons from wherever. It becomes cheaper, efficient, predictable, and so that surgeons don't have to travel here and there. Not, everybody is ready to fly out because they still have to work. And so we are introducing this use of technology and telesurgery. So basically, if you think about in an operating room, a fellow who is learning, so teleproctoring is like having an attending surgeon in front of you, guiding you. And telesurgery, when you cannot do, he takes over. So it is a complete cycle, holding hand of people. So all of these are plans for next year for us. And I think the India robotic market will boom. Awareness is there, system is there, government wants it, surgeons want it.
Awesome. Dr. Srivastava, this has been such a beautiful conversation, because, you actually very beautifully brought out that we have moved from telemedicine, which we thought was the most modern thing, to remote monitoring. And from now, remote monitoring, we are talking of telesurgeries. That's just a very beautiful future that I can envision. And this is a near future. And, another very beautiful thing is that, I always believe that India has always produced the best engineers and best medical specialists.
Absolutely.
And it's time that these two faculties come together,
yes,
and create India as the next hub for healthcare equipment. And,
and it will occur.
And it is already happening. All
Yes.
we needed was people who had the conviction and had the willpower, the will to arrange for the resources to turn this into a reality. And we are already seeing that happen. So thank you so much for doing this. Thank you so much for taking out time to speak with us. It is a pleasure.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to share our thoughts. Thank you.